While swimming is one of the most popular Olympic sports, the same can't be said for college swimming. Typically, when it comes time to make cuts for the athletic department, swimming is always on the chopping block. In fact, it's one of the most top-cut sports, especially on the men's side. But why is this? Of course, it's not bringing in the revenue that basketball or football is, but is there something more than that? In this video, we'll look at one of the NCAA's most storied swim teams with countless Olympians to their name that got cut on the verge of winning a national championship. This is the story of UCLA men's swimming. The year is 1994. Michael Jordan is on his baseball hiatus after winning 3 consecutive championships with the Bulls. A young Michael Phelps is just 9 years old, and in an athletic department in Westwood, California, some big changes are being discussed. The athletic department started looking around at making some cuts in order to make sure that they were compliant with Title IX and budgetary constraints. Now you might be asking, what is Title IX? Well, Title IX is a civil rights law that states that any government-funded school or university cannot discriminate on the basis of sex. Due to this, the NCAA forced the hand of many public schools across the nation to comply with this 50-50 split. The cutting of many men's sports programs is due to the fact that many Power 5 D1 football schools carry a roster of almost 100 athletes. This creates a massive gap in the number of athletes on men's and women's teams. Due to this and the financial times that UCLA found themselves in, they needed to make some cuts. 1 men's sport and 1 women's sport. Now, the UCLA men's swim team had all the accolades you could think of. 41 individual national champions, 16 Olympians, a national championship, and a national runner-up. This program had backed up the funding that the university had given them, but they weren't bringing in any revenue either. It was for this reason that UCLA decided to cut the men's swim team and the women's gymnastics team. A massive blow to the sport of swimming and all of UCLA's swimming alumni, which included the likes of Olympian Tom Jaeger. However, an important note is that a couple years later, UCLA decided to reinstate the women's gymnastics team. But the story doesn't end there. Now you might be asking, why would UCLA, a powerhouse school, go ahead and cut one of their most successful programs that was arguably on the verge of a national championship, especially given that some of the top talent in the sport of swimming comes out of the state of California? In fact, of the dynasty teams in the modern swimming era, Cal, Texas, Auburn, and UCLA's rivals, USC, 25% of the swimmers on those teams were from the state of California. That number gets even higher when you're looking at just college swim teams located in California. That number rises to 47%. Top talent in the sport of swimming was sitting in UCLA's backyard. Despite all of this though, there looked to be no hope for the future of UCLA men's swimming.
Huge breaking news in college football.
USC and UCLA are heading to the Big Ten?
The Big Ten just got bigger.
And then the move to the Big Ten by UCLA and USC changed it all. You might be asking, how does this impact the non-existent swim team? Well, despite UCLA saying they're moving just to level up their competition, what they aren't saying is that they're also getting an additional $70 million from the Big Ten's $7 billion TV contract that's split amongst all the teams in the revenue sharing agreement. No longer are budget cuts a reason to cut the UCLA men's swim team. With this new funding that comes from moving from the Pac-12 to the Big Ten, that's a game changer for UCLA's athletic department. In fact, it was estimated that Power 5 D1 swimming programs cost an estimated $1.3 to $5.3 million annually to operate. Let's just say that they're on the higher end of the spectrum, given that they're in California. There's still plenty of funding to fund a men's swim team and an equivalent women's sport to keep compliance with Title IX and keep all the top talent from leaving California. But let's just say that UCLA decides not to spend all their influx cash on a new sports team, such as a swim team. In an article from the Daily Bruin, it was noted that UCLA swimming was almost always a top 15 swimming school. If we were to say that UCLA men's swimming is only viable by replacing a current existing UCLA athletic program, let's look at all the other UCLA sports that aren't ranked in the top 15 nationally and find which one could be replaced by UCLA men's swimming. Now, UCLA only has 10 men's varsity sports, and 3 or 4 of those are revenue generating, so they're not going to replace those sports. So let's look at the remaining 6 non-revenue generating sports, like a swimming. Of those remaining 6 men's sports teams, we have golf, tennis, track and field, cross country, water polo, and men's volleyball. Now, water polo and men's volleyball are arguably always top programs in their respective sports, so not them either. That leaves track and field, cross country, golf, and tennis all on the chopping block for UCLA's athletic department. Now, I'm not taking a dig at any of these teams. All I'm saying is that hypothetically, UCLA men's swimming would be more successful on a national level than these teams for the athletic department. And given that the university just spent $14 million on a brand new aquatics facility, it would make sense to utilize that facility with maybe a men's swim team. All right, so at this point you might be thinking, great, but what can I do? Well, before hearing what you can do, I'd love if you could hear from UCLA swimming legend and NCAA runner-up Greg Schaefer on what this team meant to him.
I mean, I remember going into the team room, we were all called in, us seniors, were done swimming, and so it was kind of unusual to be asked to come back on deck, like, what is this all about? And Ron Ballatori was the coach. He was always very frank, and we just came out with it. They're cutting our program. And the reaction was like just a punch in the face. The initial reaction was just being stunned. You think it's unreal. What happened? Where did that come from? I don't want this to be a sad story. But every time NC2A comes around, I think about what it would be like to be in the stands supporting the team.
What needs to happen in order for a UCLA swim team to get revitalized?
I mean, there's the finances, and you had mentioned the move to the Big Ten that could help, and then there's legislation. The primary reason that the men's program was cut in '93 was a Title IX issue. That still remains to this day. Move to the Big Ten will definitely help, but I think it'll be a few years before you can reasonably have meaningful conversations and put plans together to bring it back.
In addition to Greg's amazing testament about the team, here's actions that you can take to make sure that this team gets brought back. I've gone ahead and created a change.org petition, which I will personally be sending to the UCLA athletic director in addition with this video. Don't ask me how I got his email. The point is, he's gonna see this. After the video, if you guys all could go take 20 seconds to fill out the change.org petition down below, this could be the impact that brings this team back. As always, my goal for this YouTube channel is to inspire and to grow the sport of swimming. Getting a massive program like UCLA back into the sport of swimming would attract top talent to Westwood from all over the nation. I know that if I had the opportunity to swim at UCLA, the place my parents attended college and the team I cheered for my entire childhood, I probably would have taken it. And I know from speaking to top swimmers from all across the country, they probably would as well. So now, the ball's in UCLA's court, or in this case, I guess the swim cap. Will they invest in a men's swim team, or will they invest in a brand new on-campus football stadium so their students actually go to games? I want to give a big shout out to UCLA swim legend Greg Schaefer for participating in this video. I also want to give a shout out to Michael Hull from the Daily Bruin for helping inspire this video. If you guys haven't already seen UCLA's awesome swimming facilities, make sure to check out the video I did with their women's swim team. Comment down below what your dream swimming school is and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. This is the last weekend to sign up for my free online swimming webinar. So if you haven't already, make sure to sign up for my email group down below. That's the only way you're going to get access to the webinar. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys all next week.